Should Ward Bird have been sentenced to jail?
Take a look at all these folks holding signs saying "Stop Injustice, Free Ward Bird." They're saying he's a good, innocent man and that he deserves to be out of prison. The truth is, that may not happen soon.
Over property disputes and gun control issues, the case of Ward Bird and Christine Harris comes down to a simple he said, she said case. One not entirely reliable he against a not entirely reliable she, and the court does not know what to do. Unfortunately, there is a mandatory 3-year minimum sentence for the charges pressed against Ward Bird. So even though the judge does not believe Ward Bird should have been sentenced to that much jail time, there is nothing he could do about it. The governor did not fully pardon Ward, but he did get out of jail after about 80 days. Ward Bird and Christine Harris were both in violation of the law, but only Ward Bird was punished, and this is not fair. Christine Harris walked right into the middle of a heated family property dispute. Ward's sister-in-law passed away, and her share of the family's land was passed on to her husband, Christopher. Christopher then chose to put the land up for sale on the market. Ward Bird was angered by this, but could not produce the close to $1 million to buy the property himself. There have been more than one instances where police and alcohol have been involved between Ward and his brother-in-law over this property. Christine Harris was interested in buying this property in Waltonboro, New Hampshire, and was on her way to look at the property when her real estate agent informed her she was not able to make the appointment. Christine continued on her way to look at the property anyway, but it being on the back road, she got lost and ended up on Ward's property, passing his no trespassing signs to get to his house and ask for directions. As Ward recollects it,
we had a trespasser on our property. I asked the person to leave repeatedly. She refused to do so. I raised my voice with her and used some profanity, which I feel sorry for. I know I should not have sworn at her. However, as she was leaving, when I removed my firearm from behind my back and made sure that it was safe and re-entered my home, then apparently she saw the firearm.
Ward Bird is a father of 4 and a well-respected man in the community.
He's a kind, gentle man, and the punishment in this case just does not fit the crime.
But he should be able to defend myself and our family and his property.
He's a gentle giant. He's would bend over backwards for you.
He was recovering from a recent operation on the 2006 evening of the alleged incident, so it is very unlikely he would have been able to jump off of the porch in the way Christine reported. Ward Bird is a good community man participating with Cub Scouts. However, his record is not flawless. There was a $480 fine for target practice in a residential area, which allows reason to believe that he has not always been the most responsible with guns. Christine Harris also comes from a not-so-clean record. As a previous landlord reports, she has left his property with unpaid rents and damaged. Christine Harris was breaking the law by trespassing, while Ward Bird was breaking the law by criminal threatening. Although, Ward Bird's actions can somewhat be justified by the Second Amendment, which states a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. However, this can be interpreted 2 different ways. One way to look at this is protecting the state's right to an army so they can guard against tyranny and other forms of government. The other side is that this applies to the individual to be able to keep a gun for self-defense. This can be proved by looking at the fact that it says people, unlike the First Amendment, which says Congress shall pass no law. The Second Amendment debate fits hand in hand with this case, but it is the only amendment that contains a stated purpose, and that purpose applies to the militia's right to bear arms, not an individual's. Supreme Court very strongly applies this to the militia only. This applies to Ward Bird because many of his followers believe he has the right to keep and bear arms, but they are ignoring the rest of the amendment. Some reasons why this may be true is because there are 6 times as many fatal gun accidents in homes that had a gun than criminals killed with those guns. So Ward could argue that it was for protecting his home and family from criminals when he was potentially putting them in danger. Many courts have started to enforce the Stand Your Ground Act, which provides citizens with the freedom not to retreat. This only applies when they are not the insinuators of the crime, and if this law applied to the court in which Ward was tried, what he would have done would have been legal. So living in another state would have made him standing his ground legal. Christine Harris's trespassing was illegal, but there were no charges pressed against her. So, in a fair world, no charges should have been pressed against Ward for his illegal criminal threatening. However, we do not live in a perfect world, and there are flaws in our legal system. The judges and jury try to do the best they can, but where there is no substantial evidence and no witnesses, it is impossible to please everybody. If we said that word against word cases without evidence or witnesses should not result in jail time, we would be making things worse. So there was no way to please both Christine Harris and Ward Bird. And in this situation, Ward just got the short end of the stick. However, not all facts of this case were present at the trial, so maybe if they had been, things would have turned out differently than how they did.